So here's a list of ingredients of what you'll need for this practical. Some of these things can be substituted, like the sweetener, sugar and honey, and also the teaspoons can be reused if you have reusable, as well as the cups. Today we'll be conducting an experiment on the effect of different sugars and artificial sweeteners on yeast fermentation. We'll be looking at granulated sugar, honey, and artificial sweetener. So here I have a measuring jug, and I'm just measuring out 400 millilitres of boiling water to 600 millilitres of room temperature water, which will give you a temperature of approximately 40 degrees Celsius. If you do not have a measuring jug, then you can use a ratio of 2 to 1. So 2 parts room temperature water to 1 part boiling water. Now I'm just laying out the sheets of paper that have labelled the different variables and placing a cup down on each of those. I'm then going to add my dry active yeast, 1 teaspoon levelled to each one of those cups. And then I'm just looking at the level of my water at eye level, because I want to measure out 100 millilitres of this tempered water into each cup. And then I'm going to give that a good stir, making sure that it's all combined. Even though this might be a little bit difficult, just keep persisting until it's fully combined. Once you've mixed all of those in, you're then going to get your sugar, your honey, your sweetener, and 4 teaspoons. Again, if you do not have 4 and you only have 1, you can use 1, but just make sure you wash them in between. The first cup gets no sugar, the second one gets a teaspoon of sugar, and that gets stirred in. And here I'm just marking with a marker pen at the tops of my mixture. And then I'm going to move on to adding 1 level teaspoon of honey, again stirring that, making sure it's fully dissolved in there. And then marking that after also at the top, make sure it's level, doing everything at eye level. And then a teaspoon of sweetener, again leveled, stirring that and making a marking at the top of that. I'm then starting my clock. You'll be doing this for 30 minutes, and at 5-minute intervals you want to stop and make another marking of the top of your mixture. So 5-minute intervals for 30 minutes. And as you can see, this is just a time lapse of our experiment. So moving on to our results, we have our cup with no sugar, our cup with sugar, our cup with honey, and our cup with sweetener at the end of our 30 minutes. And this is what you'll need for this second experiment. Again, this is quite flexible. If there is no cling film available, anything with a lid or that can partially cover your cups would work well. We'll now be conducting an experiment testing the effect of oxygen availability on yeast fermentation. To do this, we'll be using cling film to completely cover our glasses, and then cling film that's been perforated to allow some oxygen. So again, as I did in the first experiment, I'm just laying out my cups into the labelled pieces of paper with our variables. Again, getting a level teaspoon of dry yeast and putting that into each cup. Then with our tempered water, just pouring in 100 millilitres, again at eye level, into each cup. Once this is all done, give it all a stir and make sure it's fully dissolved. Again, this may take a while, but keep going. Now, once that's all stirred and mixed in, you want to add in a level teaspoon of granulated sugar, but this time to all 3 cups and giving them all a stir. Once that's done, you want to cover 2 of the cups with your cling film, making sure to do that as tight as possible so no air can get in, and leaving 1 cup uncovered. Then with one of them, you want to perforate the top of the cling film by just poking them, and then making sure at eye level, marking the tops of those mixtures. We're now going to leave this for 30 minutes and at 5-minute intervals, making markings at the top of our mixtures. So here we have our results for the oxygenated mixture after 30 minutes, the partially oxygenated mixture after 30 minutes, and our anaerobic condition where it's been fully covered. Now this is what we'll need for our experiment 3. For this experiment, I will be using vinegar, but you are feel free to use lemon juice or any other acidic substance instead. Again, the same with the baking soda. If you have any alkaline substances, you can use those instead too. We'll now be conducting an experiment testing the effect of pH on yeast fermentation. To do this, we'll be using baking soda, vinegar, and a neutral pH. So here I'm going in again with 3 cups on our labelled pieces of paper, making up our mixture of 300 millilitres of boiling water to 600 millilitres of room temperature water to give us an approximate temperature of around 40 degrees Celsius. Going in, putting a teaspoon of labelled yeast into each cup. Again, we're going to pour out 100 millilitres at eye level of our tempered water into each cup containing the yeast. Going to give this all a mix into each one, again making sure that it's fully dissolved in. And again going in with 1 level teaspoon of granulated sugar into each cup and giving that a mix, again making sure that everything has fully combined. We are then going to add 1 level teaspoon of baking soda to one of our cups and giving that a good stir. This might froth up at the beginning, but just make sure that when you are making your marking, you are making that above the froth, the highest point of the mixture. Again, 1 leveled teaspoon, but this time of our vinegar, and giving that a mix, putting that into one of our cups. Like I said, making the marking right at the top and then leaving one of the cups as it is with just the sugar and yeast and water. Again, we're going to check our results after 30 minutes, making sure at 5-minute intervals to make markings of where the top of the mixture is. Here we have our unaltered pH, our acidic, which has our vinegar, and our alkaline, which has our baking soda. Here, I'm just showing how to make the markings at the 5-minute intervals over your 30 minutes. As you can see, some of the mixtures appear dome-shaped and irregular. If that's the case, just make a marking at the highest point of where the yeast mixture makes contact with the cup. And here, you want to line up your ruler at 0 centimetres, right at the bottom on your lowest marking, with the first marking we made, and then measuring up from there. You are then going to record these distances in a table.